The results of a private autopsy done on Renee Good sheds more light on the fatal shooting carried out by an ICE agent in which, well, a single bullet likely ended up killing her. Now, when the story first broke, all of the reports indicated that she was shot in the face 3 times, but this autopsy makes clear that that wasn't the case. Now, the autopsy shows that Good was shot at least 3 times, sustaining wounds to her head, arm, and breast. 2 of the gunshot wounds were not immediately life-threatening, the autopsy found. 1 bullet struck Miss Good on her left forearm. Another bullet entered her body in the right breast, but did not penetrate major organs. Now, more damningly, a 3rd bullet struck her on the left side of her head near the temple, the autopsy said, and exited on the right side of her head. That's the one that killed her. That was the shot from the side of the SUV. So, Cenk, your 2 cents before I give you more details.
Yeah, so what do we say on the first day? So even when we didn't know all the facts and there's a little bit of fog of that particular situation, right? We said the first shot, we're gonna have to see what happened there. It looked like she was turning away. Certainly she was going 2 miles per hour. Seemed like the first shot was unjustified. But the next 2 shots were totally unnecessary and no one could dispute it. He shot from the side, and lo and behold, from the side, goes into the left, comes out of the right. Because he shot her once she was past him, and now he's just murdering her.
Yeah.
So that 3rd shot was the shot that murdered her, and it was 100% when he was no longer in danger. That brother should be put up on charges, and he should serve a long time in prison for murdering Renee Good.
But he won't, because there has been an effort to provide cover for him, and there has been intentional misreporting and misstatements coming from the government. And I'm gonna provide evidence for that in just a minute, because we now know definitively that the ICE agent who shot and killed her was not hit by the car. Okay, so hold up so I can show you the evidence on that in just a minute. But I should also note that this private autopsy that was carried out at the request of Good's family also found that she suffered a graze wound consistent with a firearm injury, but with no penetration. So there was a 4th shot, but it grazed her. It didn't actually kind of like how the bullet grazed Trump's ear, similar to that, okay. Now, I should also note this, because this is really important. So this is a partial release of a private autopsy. So the lawyers firm representing Good's family declined to release the full autopsy, and results of an official autopsy that was conducted by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office has yet to be released. So there could be some additional information that we learn in the coming days or weeks, but I wanted to make sure you all knew that this was the release of part of the private autopsy. Okay, now we also learned last week that Renee Good still had a pulse for several minutes following the shooting. So records from emergency responders show that Good was not breathing, but had an irregular pulse when local medics arrived at the scene, and had no pulse by the time they removed her from the car. Now, Minnesota State Senator Matt Klein, who also happens to be a doctor, held a press conference last week where he said that she had a pulse for 8 minutes after getting shot. Now, why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant because, as we all know, and there's surveillance footage to prove this, there was a medical professional on the scene who offered to provide, help to Good following the shooting, but he was blocked from being able to do so. Many argue that ICE can't just allow random private citizens to, provide medical assistance right then and there on the scene. It could be a liability, but that might come up because it does seem clear to me that Good's family appears to be investigating this for a potential civil lawsuit.
Yeah, and of course they should do a civil lawsuit. So look, the point of ICE is to go in and agitate locally until something terrible happens. And then they double down, and then they quadruple down, and then they do it to more and more cities. Why? Because Trump is an authoritarian, and he loves the idea of the military in the streets. In fact, he's trying to put the military in the streets now 2, 3 different times.
No, he's a fascist. Okay, the ICE agents are the brown shirts. So at this point, he's a fascist. What's being carried out is indicative of a fascist regime. All right, we got into that debate. I said he's authoritarian, but I wouldn't call him a fascist because he's not a guy who's driven by ideology. He's not driven by the ideology of fascism. No, this is fascism. Anyway, continue.
So it doesn't really matter if you call it authoritarian or fascist, in my opinion, right? So the bottom line is he wants to be in charge of a country that is living under military rule. And he is the unquestioned leader of that country. And he has said 1,000 times about how, I went to China and North Korea and all these places. Oh my God, these dictators are amazing. No one's allowed to disagree with them. Whenever they walk into a room, they get standing ovation. He wants that kind of adulation because he's a man-child. He's a pathetic man-child. So he loves the idea of agitating everyone and what does it do? It divides the country. So now some people are dug in going, no, ICE is great and we got to kill the immigrants and whatever and it's all right. If they were just like 1% risk, 0.00001% risk, what a real man does is shoot a woman in the head 3 times. No, that's not what a real man does. That's what a super weak man does. Super weak, okay? Oh, it's a woman in a car going 2 miles per hour. Boom, 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 assassinate her, right? No, that's not what that strong man does. That's what a pathetic man does. So now we're back to fighting. Oh, perfect. Trump loves it, the oligarchs love it, the donors love it. Good, we got the left and the right to constantly fight each other and kill each other. Meanwhile, they're not noticing the frickin' robbery. Non-stop robbery. Israel robs us, pharma robs us, oil robs us, defense contractors rob us. But we're at each other's throats in the streets, and Trump and his donors are laughing their ass off at Mar-a-Lago wearing weirdo dog masks and having sick parties. Like, we got the poors to fight each other and kill each other. Now let's rob them. And that's what Trump and his stupid donors are doing. Yep. The donors have been robbing us through Democratic and Republican administrations for my entire life while they got us to fight. But congrats, Trump, you got us to fight. Because no, I'm not going to accept a woman being shot in the head and executed by your thugs, by your masked thugs in the streets with no badges. That is un-American. You are the exact opposite of a patriot. You believe in a thuggish third world dictatorship.
Yep.
And I love America, where we have cops who have badges, we could see them, and they are accountable to the community. But you don't want that. You don't want America.
So let's talk a little bit about the definitive proof that the ICE agent, Jonathan Ross, who shot and killed Renee Good, did not actually get hit by the car at all. So let's show you the evidence. The New York Times pored over all the videos that are available, looked at everything and put together an analysis. The analysis is available on YouTube if you want to check it out, but I'm going to show you the 2 parts that are most relevant. Starting with the first part, let's take a look.
Here, the agent's cell phone footage shows he's moving directly in front of the SUV as it's reversing and rotating towards him, initiating a 3-point turn apparently to leave. Law enforcement officers are trained to avoid doing this because it puts them in danger and often leads to the use of force against drivers. The cell phone is focused squarely on Miss Good. She looks down, shifts into drive, and begins turning to the right, away from the agent. Cut to this high angle and zoom in. We can make out the agent's body and his arm filming. We can also see at the same time, he's beginning to lift his other arm. On these cameras, we can see what's happening around Agent Ross. The other agent is yelling orders and reaching into Miss Good's SUV. Her front tire spins as she continues turning right. Agent Ross is at least a few feet away from Miss Good's SUV. He does not appear to move out of the way.
Okay, so you see how far he is from her vehicle. As by the way, she's pulling back and turning to obviously flee. It's clear. Now, the next video is gonna show you whether or not Ross got hit with her SUV. Let's watch.
This is also the moment many have said looks like Agent Ross getting run over. And it does when watched at full speed. But looking more closely, we can see in multiple angles that there's a visible gap between the vehicle and his legs, indicating his feet are positioned outside the SUV's path. The agent's left hand is still against the vehicle and gripping his phone. We see as he fires, it's recording the clouds and the trees overhead. It's not because the agent is knocked to the ground. The other angle shows he's still standing, continuing to maintain his grip on his phone and his gun, and we see a clear and growing gap between his body and the SUV as he fires a second shot and a third.
So he was never hit by the SUV, and the shot that actually ended up killing her was one of the last shots to her head as he was already to the side of her vehicle.
You know what depresses me, Anna, is that partisan.
She's a white liberal, though. She's a white liberal woman, so it's okay, right? It's okay. She's a white liberal woman, so it's okay. That's one of the arguments that I've seen all over the internet.
And a lesbian.
You people are disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, un-American, disgusting. Go ahead.
What depresses me is that partisanship brain gets people to look at that and go, she had it coming. How could you possibly conclude that from that? So guys, two things I focus on in this new video. One, until today, I had not seen how far in front of the car he was, the coward of the country, Jonathan Ross, okay? He's so far from the car. It's the easiest thing in the world to take one step to the side. Now, eventually he does take a step to the side, right?
And proceeds to continue shooting her.
But he's still holding the phone. Like the claim is, oh, I'm in so much mortal danger, but I'm still holding my phone. I got my gun out. I'm doing all this. And by the way, now she's made the full turn. And as we told you from day one, 2 shots from the side, totally gratuitous, no reason for it in the third shot, murders her. No, guys, but somehow partisanship is so strong that seemingly rational human beings look at that video and go, oh, what a hero Jonathan Ross was. My God, he was almost dead. He didn't even drop the phone. He's so far from the car. And you could see that you could step aside. By the way, there is legally, if you can get out of the way of a car, that your self-defense claim is much weaker. You have almost no chance of that working if you could get out of the way of the car. And he obviously could get out of the way of the car because, by the way, he did. He did get out of the way of the car. He could have gotten out of the way earlier, and then he murdered her after he got out of the way of the car.
Yeah.
So there's no question about it, but partisanship melts our brains. So that tons of right wingers are looking at that and going, oh, whew, man, he was this close to death. Thank God he protected himself.
No, they convinced themselves that it was justified. That's what happens. And I get being so ideologically driven that you let that ideology turn you into a total dumbass. I get it. It's happened to me before. That's why I waited until we saw definitive proof of whether or not he got hit by the car. Everything else that I had seen did not convince me one way or the other. This analysis, this video is definitive proof. I mean, can you imagine the egg on Barry Weiss's face when she decided to run that stupid story claiming that Ross had to be hospitalized because he suffered from internal bleeding? I remember when I saw that story, it got pitched, and I just knew right away. I got like a sick feeling in my stomach. It's that intuition. I'm like, there's something up with this. I don't trust it. I'm not gonna talk about it on the show yet. I need more proof.
Okay, last 2 things for me on this. If you're a right winger and you're hating what we're saying and you think, oh, he was on the edge of death and oh, thank God she was murdered or whatever you think, right? Do you really believe the internal bleeding story? You comment in the comments below. I'm curious. Is there a single person in the country who's so warped by partisanship that they think that guy had internal bleeding? Okay, all right. Now this last thing is, this isn't gonna work because most of the establishment media is like CBS, so they probably love what's happening there, right? But if any real journalists out there, you should ignore literally every story coming out of CBS News, not because every story is wrong, but because you don't know which ones are propaganda and which ones are true. which then makes it so that you can't trust any of their stories. Because some of it is propaganda on behalf of Trump. Oh, Trump is such a genius for bringing ICE into the streets. Poor ICE agent was suffering from internal bleeding. Total lie, 100% lie. They mix it in with some true stories. And then of course on Israel, everything is a lie, right? Literally everything CBS says about Israel is a lie. So now, okay, which one is lies and which one is true? Well, then you're junk, you're total junk. CBS should be in a different category. It's not news. It's mainly Israeli and Trump marketing, okay? That's the category it belongs in. You should ignore every story that comes out of there.
I totally agree.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.